Lewis Hamilton has been flying the British flag alone in Formula One for some time now, but even the Mercedes driver will be wondering where his compatriots are in Melbourne. After Jolyon Palmer's exit from Renault at the back end of last season, coupled with Paul di Resta's failure to secure a 2018 seat with Williams, the worrying shortage of drivers from the home nations will be highlighted this weekend. When Hamilton lines up for the Drivers' Parade at the curtain-raising Australian Grand Prix this Sunday, he will be the only Brit on the grid, an unwanted record which has never happened over a full term before. 1950s, 78 1960s, 56 1970s, 35 1980s, 15 1990s, 11 2000s, 7 2010s, 6 but the early signs suggest Hamilton could be the sole Brit on the track over the course of the year, and it is undoubtedly a huge concern for a nation with a rich motorsport history. You only have to rewind to 2013 when Britain boasted 4 drivers on the F1 grid, with Hamilton, Di Resta, Jenson Button and Max Chilton representing the Union Jack. Yet even that figure pales into insignificance when compared to the British-dominated early eras of the Formula One grid. F1's inaugural World Championship in 1950 saw 12 British drivers line up while the 1960s welcomed 56 drivers into the sport. The figures began to deteriorate in the 1980s, but even so, the likes of Damon Hill, Eddie Irvine, Martin Brundle, Johnny Herbert and David Coulthard all came through the ranks in the 1990s and 2000s, but now it seems Britain is seemingly heading towards a motorsport crisis. Hamilton may well be the biggest F1 attraction, but he divides opinion with his antics away from the track. Yet British supporters of this sport are given no choice when it comes to cheering on home drivers this year. It's Hamilton or, well, nobody. There are Brits in the reserve ranks at various teams, including McLaren's Lando Norris, Mercedes' George Russell and Renault's Jack Aitken, but whether they'll get a run out remains to be seen. So Hamilton is left to fly the flag alone. It's not, however, uncharted territory for the 33-year-old. He was forced to represent Britain by himself for the final 4 races of last season, following Renault's decision to replace Palmer with Carlos Sainz. It was the first of those races, the US Grand Prix, where Hamilton entered the British F1 record books for concerning reasons. That Austin showdown was the first race since 2005, when Button was disqualified for 2 races, where Britain had just 1 representative in F1. It's an issue that Coulthard, the former British driver who started 246 races, believes needs to be immediately addressed, with finances proving one of the biggest barriers when attempting to break into F1. He told Sportsmill, "We have to take notice. It's not easy to get into Formula One, and I think it's a much more wider-ranging conversation. If you look at karting now, to race in Europe a family has to spend around £250,000. The average family can't even dream of earning that amount of money, never mind spending it on their son or daughter's karting. My first year in car racing cost £35,000 and that was 32 races. That was a lot of money at the time." The world of motorsport, from grassroots up, has to take a long hard look at itself. Formula One is the pinnacle and therefore has to have best technology, designers, engineers and fastest drivers. Companies spend what they can afford to build their business. In the lower formulas where they need to find the best talent and give them the best opportunity, I think it's gone mad. That should be getting serious attention from the FIA. We've got to get a grip of that. It seems not much has changed since Coulthard's early career and money is an obvious issue, but British drivers clearly aren't getting the chances either. Since Hamilton's breakthrough in 2007, only 4 Brits, Will Stevens, Di Resta, Chilton and Palmer, have made their F1 debuts. They've all been and gone, failing to survive the cutthroat world of Formula One while Hamilton continues to break records year after year. His championship triumph last year saw him become the first British driver to claim 4 world titles, and a victory this year will take him level with the second most successful driver in F1 history, Juan Manuel Fangio. Hamilton is without doubt one of the greatest to take to the track, but there comes a time when even the flag bearer needs some help.